What's up, everybody? Today we are going to be reacting to a video from Fireship IO. It's a great YouTube channel. This video came out about 5 days ago. It's the top 10 tech trends to look out for in 2024. I have not watched the whole video yet. I did go through it just to see which topics I'm going to cover and which ones I'm going to skip over. I don't want to step over his whole video. That's not what this channel is about. I just want to legitimately react to Jeff's opinions on the top tech trends. And we're going to get into it right away. Let's do it.
If you still have a job in tech, it means you survived massive layoffs, didn't get drafted into a war, and outsmarted the artificial intelligence that your boss wants to replace you with. 2023 was the craziest year ever, but at the rate things are accelerating, it'll look like nothing compared to 2024.
2023 was a crazy year, mainly because of the introduction of ChatGPT. OpenAI released ChatGPT 3, I think around November of 2022. And into the new year, they did 3.5 and ChatGPT 4, which is a whole different monster in itself. I use ChatGPT a lot. I'm sure this video is going to focus in a lot on AI. Let's see if we're right.
I care deeply about the future because I'm going to spend the rest of my life there, but the future ain't what it used to be. In today's video, we'll look at 10 trends in technology that you can take advantage of in 2024. Let's get started by looking at the health of the job market. At the beginning of 2023, we had massive layoffs from Magnificent Seven companies like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. Not only did this flood the job market with more talent, but simultaneously,
not to mention that X, formerly known as Twitter, Elon Musk came in and got rid of about 75% of that workforce. They weren't all engineers, but a lot of them were. So that definitely changes up the dynamic in the jobs industry for sure.
Number of open jobs declined by about 60% based on data from TrueUp.io. And that's been a 1-2 punch to the nuts for junior developers looking to get into the industry. In 2021, we had people working multiple full-time jobs simultaneously thanks to remote work, and you could land these jobs by simply taking a 100-second boot camp. But today, things look a lot different. Managers are still desperately trying to get people back into the office, and you can find all kinds of anecdotes on Reddit about how brutal the job market is right now. It's been a rough year, but there is some hope. If we look closely at the chart, you'll notice that job openings are up 13.8% from earlier this year, and all the big FAANG companies have unfrozen their hiring freezes, although there aren't nearly as many open jobs as there used to be.
Yeah, so that first point in the video, it resonates with me. Between 2022 and 2023, I was working as a consultant for a startup. Terrible experience. I'll probably make a video about that in the future. But at the end of the contract, I had to make a decision if I was going to start applying to big tech companies to try to get a stable job, or if I was going to make one last crack at the startup game. Based on how the job market was, it did influence my decision, and I decided to go for it and start the startup. Oh, 100%, he's right about that.
Another failed technology that could come back in 2024 is augmented and virtual reality, thanks primarily to the Apple Vision Pro, which is set to release in early 2024. Apple has done some revolutionary things in the past, like a mouse that charges from the bottom, and if these VR goggles take off, it could lead to a whole new round of opportunity for app developers. However, I think that's unlikely. Plenty of Apple cult members will drink this Kool-Aid, but I don't think the general public is going to fork over $3,500 to become even more disconnected from reality. Ultimately, though, I think this will end up being a niche product. Very cool to some people, but not appealing to the average NPC.
Yeah, so even if he's wrong, even if there is a mass adoption of Apple's VR, AR headset, I still have to stress this, and I'll tell anybody who's either just starting out coding or been coding for a couple of years, don't take your eye off the ball. If you're focusing on web development and some new trend hits the market, don't drop everything you've been doing for the past couple of years and hop on a new trend. Focus your time on the field of expertise that you've been spending the most time doing. Do not hop around. That's why it's important to know from the beginning what you want to do and to focus on that primarily. You can read about the other stuff that's going on, but don't lose your focus. That's the worst thing you could do.
Microsoft just announced a few weeks ago that it's going to start producing its own chips, like the Maya chip for artificial intelligence and the Cobalt CPU, which is an ARM-based processor designed for general-purpose use in the cloud. And AWS is also building its own ARM-based chips, which are cheaper and more efficient than traditional x86 chips. Now, as of today, virtually all PCs and laptops running Windows run CPUs based on the x86 architecture, but that may not be the case in the future because thanks to Project Volterra, it's now possible to run Windows on ARM chips. The single most
All right, so I didn't know about Project Volterra. I didn't know you were going to be able to run Windows on an ARM chip. So I run a Mac Mini. That's what I do for development. That chip is powerful. Quick boot up time. My fan never turns on. never turns on my Mac Mini. I've never even heard it. So the fact that you're going to be able to run Windows on it now and compatibility is no longer going to be a concern, this is going to become the new standard. I'm almost 100% sure of that after hearing about this.
Important thing anyone does with a CPU though is play video games. And just yesterday we got our first look at the GTA 6 trailer. This will likely be the most hyped up video game in the history of the world, and it's built using Rockstar's own proprietary Rage game engine. And that means you can't use it. What you can use is Unity.
I have 3 kids. I work from home. I have twin girls. They're about 1 year old. I have no time for video games. It's still interesting, but it doesn't apply to me.
However, Unity made a massive blunder in 2023 by rolling out new pricing that would charge developers every time a game is downloaded. Unity developers revolted, and it got so bad that they had to roll back the pricing and apologize.
That's right, apologize.
Meanwhile, Unreal Engine released version 5.3 with some crazy new features like a procedural content generation framework and its substrate material system that gets almost indistinguishable from reality. Now, Unreal Engine's parent company, Epic Games, sued Apple a few years ago saying it's a monopoly because it takes a 30% cut on the App Store and doesn't allow alternative payment methods, but it lost that suit and that was held up on appeal in 2023. Epic Games is not giving up though, with a similar ongoing lawsuit against Google. It seems like a long shot, but if they somehow win, it would.
So, like I said before, this video came out about 5 days ago, 5-6 days ago now, depending on when I edit it. Google did lose this lawsuit. They did lose this lawsuit, which is crazy because Apple won theirs. So I'm sure Google is going to appeal. I hope the appeal gets rejected because this is a big deal for app developers. It changes up your whole business strategy when you're launching an app. It's going to for me personally as well. So we got to see how this thing plays out. But it was pretty crazy that Google lost this lawsuit this time around.
Be huge for indie developers because they could avoid that 30% cut to the big guy by using their own payment processor. But now let's talk about web development. JavaScript land is as crazy as ever, but I think in 2024, people will stop building new JavaScript frameworks because nowadays they all have a similar developer experience with signal-based reactivity, and the race will shift to who can build the best tools for existing frameworks. We're seeing more visual editors and IDEs for frameworks like React, where you can drag and drop components instead of coding them manually. Then you have frameworks like Nuxt, which have built-in dev tools to make life easier, but pretty soon we should have AI writing most of our code. There are tools like Visual Copilot where you can take a design in Figma and it will automatically write the framework code along with Tailwind styles. In the near future, I think every JavaScript framework will have its own specialized tooling along with its own specially tuned AI for writing useful, accurate code. Whichever framework does this the best will win the web development war for the next 10 years. And I think there will be a lot of opportunity on the web, in part because of trends in mobile development.
So I think React has already won the war, especially when you consider Next.js, which is pretty much just a superset of React and it has server-side rendering. I don't know if people are going to stop building JavaScript frameworks. That's not on trend. Me, when I build websites, I use Next.js. When I build mobile apps, I use React Native. So I'm all in when it comes to React, and I think they've won the war. I know Ben Awad would be happy about that. He hates Angular. Let's see what he has to say about mobile development. Hopefully this isn't going to hurt my feelings too bad.
This trend has been ongoing for many years, but people just don't want to download mobile apps anymore. It's not like 10 years ago when you could develop an app in your mom's basement, have it go viral, and become a millionaire overnight. There are billions of people using smartphones every day, but getting their attention away from established apps is harder than ever. Like as you can see here, most of my screen time goes to Twitter and Discord.
All right. This is a shout out to Elon Musk right here. 420 next to X and a certain something hub, 6.9 hours. Gotta love it. He's always on point with his videos.
When it comes to building mobile apps, not too much has changed, but if you're building cross-platform, we're starting to see more low-code tools that can build for both iOS and Android with a drag-and-drop interface. That brings us to number 10.
I have to admit, I have not done a ton of research into the low-code movement. Like I said, I use React Native, but I do have a library of pre-built components that I've saved over my time building apps in the past. So development is not really that slow for me. Maybe I'll look into the low-code stuff, but I don't know. I have a hard time believing it's going to be able to do what I would need it to do in my use case. Concerning the adoption of mobile apps, I think he's probably right in a broader sense, like if you think about social media and markets like that. But if you're focusing in on niche markets or specific target markets, I think people are still going to download the app. If you have a solution to a problem, people are going to use your service or your product, and they're going to use it whether it's a web app, a PWA, or a mobile app on iOS and Android. So it really just has to do with if you're solving a problem, and if you are, people will install your app. That's my opinion personally.
The elephant in the room, artificial intelligence. ChatGPT
Finally,
is
we get to AI. I thought it was going to be more prevalent in the other trends, but let's see what he has to say here.
It's only been around for a year, although it feels like a lot longer. And most normies out there haven't even touched it yet. But that's going to change over the next few years because we now have Bard built into Google to cannibalize its own search engine. We have Copilot built into Microsoft Office to write all your papers and do all your spreadsheets. An estimated 75% of all stock trading now happens via algorithms, and AI is being weaponized to both launch and defend against cyber attacks. And even our military-industrial complex friends like Palantir are using AI to help blow people up in a more environmentally friendly and equitable way. But things got really crazy with generative image AI. 10 years ago, Ian Goodfellow published a paper proposing the first generative adversarial network. 7 years later, OpenAI brought us diffusion models with DALL-E, but they still sucked pretty hard. But then just 2 years from that point, we get images good enough to make $10,000 a month on OnlyFans.
So Fireship did a video talking about how, explaining how you could build one of these AI influencers. I'll put a link to the video in the description. He doesn't go too in depth, but it was a good video. It was funny. He's checking out.
In 2024, a big trend to watch is text to video. Stable Diffusion just released a text to video model, and at the current rate of progress, I predict that by the end of 2024, you'll be able to generate a full-length Bollywood quality movie from your laptop. But none of this will matter if somebody first achieves artificial general intelligence, an AI that can actually think for itself and not just regurgitate and remix things humans have already done. Some people even think this has already been achieved by OpenAI with the leak of QStar. However, there's a French guy that thinks AGI is decades away, and some think it will never.
So either this guy is telling the truth or he's just trying to get Mark Zuckerberg off his ass. That's my opinion personally.
Be achieved. When that day comes, it could be a great day for humanity. We'll never have to work or think again, and there'll be nothing left to do but indulge in pleasure. On the other hand, though, you may live to see AI-made horrors beyond your comprehension. It could end up being like when Faust made a deal with the devil for unlimited knowledge and pleasure. But once that knowledge is achieved, there's a trade-off in the form of moral and spiritual decline. The AI will have to adjust for this trade-off by creating billions of lab-grown babies, which are now a real thing, then put them into a simulation that has a disproportionate amount of suffering in order to offset the pleasures experienced by the AI. In fact, you might be in the simulation right now. Why else would you be watching a video gaslighting you into thinking you're in a simulation? You'd have to be crazy to think we're not in a simulation right now. But again, congratulations for making it to round 2024. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
All right, another great video by Fireship. We probably are living in a simulation. Doesn't really change much if we are anyway, so whatever. So personally, I don't think Google is going to catch up to OpenAI. I think if anyone's going to take the number 2 spot, it's probably going to be Grok, which is Elon Musk's AI that he put out through Twitter. X, sorry. Right now, people that have an X Premium Plus account could try out Grok, but I think in the next few months, he's going to open it up to a lot more users. So I think OpenAI has a stranglehold on the AI game right now when it comes to large language models. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I want to say this. I use ChatGPT all the time. I look at it as a tool. A lot of people are scared of it. It's not something you want to ignore. For the next couple of years, it's going to be something that's going to enhance your productivity, and to ignore it because you might be scared of what it's going to do to the job market is not smart. Do not do that. I also recommend paying the extra $20 a month and not just using the free version. You won't get capped on the amount of messages you could send to ChatGPT. And I think it's worth it. If you would have told anybody 10 years ago that for $20 a month you could have access to an AI like this, they would have said $20, sign me up right now. But still, sometimes I see people complaining about the price, and I think it's crazy. So that is the end of the video pretty much. I did skip a few parts talking about world affairs, crypto, and low-level systems, particularly Rust and Python. So if you want to check out the full video, I have a link in the description. I highly recommend that you subscribe to Fireship. It's probably the best YouTube channel for programming, in my opinion. Has potent information, not a lot of fluff, good memes. Go for it. While you're at it, if you don't mind, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing reaction videos like this, talking about current events in tech. And most importantly, as I said before, I am going to be launching my own startup in the next 3 months or so, and I am documenting the whole process. So if you want to see me succeed or fail and fall on my face, it's going to be a good time either way. So please hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have a good one.